The numbers at the 2019 main event are staggering. 8,500 plus players.
These are the spots that the math wizards know what to do.
$10 million for first.
God, how freaking lucky are you, man?
9 millionaires at the final table.
Gets your heart rate going a little more than on day 2.
But the most important number is the smallest. One bracelet. One bracelet to one champion. Next. Welcome to Las Vegas and the 2019 World Series of Poker Main Event Final Table, the 50th edition of this championship. This World Series summer has been a record setter and has now yielded one of the most diverse and dynamic final tables in recent memory. Over the last 10 days, we've gone from 8,569 to just 9 players from 6 countries, each with their eyes on $10 million and one amazing championship bracelet. The chip leader, Hossein Ensan, 55-year-old from Germany by way of Iran. Ask his friends about his style. They say he just knows what to do, and that he does. In second place is the undoubtable crowd and local favorite, 37-year-old Garry Gates, a poker player relations manager by day, a tenacious poker player by night. The final stretch run to this night was a controversial one for Italian pro Dario Sammartino, but it's a new day for the most experienced player left. We'll keep an eye on his frame of mind. Welcome everybody inside the Amazon room at the Rio All Suite Hotel and Casino. We are just moments away from cards in the air. I'm Lon McCarran, along with Norman Chad and Poker Pro Jamie Kerstetter. Jamie, here we are once again with a final table that mirrors poker in the moneymaker era, a mix of newcomers and experience, all of whom bring their own brand of talent to the table. But one stat leaps off the page. Hossein Ensan has 34% of the chips in play. Who can catch this guy?
I think this is where experience comes in. Zhen Cai has lived this moment vicariously on the rail of his best friend and 2018 runner-up Tony Milos, but Dario Sammartino is the most experienced of this final table group in big money situations. Both Zhen and Dario know what it takes to navigate through a field of tough opponents with massive money on the line. Although every pay jump is huge, I expect Cai and Sammartino to be the ones eyeing those multi-million-dollar pay jumps with just 3 players left.
Norman, can you update the folks at home on how we got here?
You drove your rental car. I took an Uber, and I don't even know who this is.
I meant, how did we get to this final table?
Oh, well, Antonio busted. Who couldn't see that coming? Helmuth busted and went ballistic. Who couldn't see that coming? And there were several earthquakes. Now, that I did not see coming. As for the final table, I couldn't have predicted that one of poker's favorite sons, Garry Gates, would get there. Hey, nice guys might finish first. I couldn't have predicted that Nick Marchington might become the youngest main event champ ever. Heck, he came up to me to talk on day 1, and I blew him off. I couldn't have predicted that Zhen Cai would make the final table the year after the best man at his wedding, Tony Milos, did. And I couldn't have predicted a main event field that nearly topped the 2006 record of 8,773. Where do these people come from? We are in the middle of the desert.
I could have predicted that you would talk that long. All right, but right now, let's get ready to crown a champion. Our Corona Premier Final Table chip stacks a monster leader in Hossein, recreational player Garry Gates in second, the locals' choice, and 3 players in the 20 million chip range. And thus we begin the last act of this fortnight of a poker tournament. Time to play out this championship table of the main event. And Jamie, no matter what has gone on in this tournament to this point, the final table is always a different animal.
Oh, for sure. Every single bust out means real money, and all eyes are on every single hand. There's no hiding this time.
Respawn Tournament Summary, day 11 of this 13-day event. Second largest field ever. Norman, day 8 means we are on the final path to finding a new world champion.
That's not day 8. It is the final table. Now, you know I love day 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. I love day 2A and 2B. I love days 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But I am head over heels till death do us part. Love at first sight, in love with the main event final table.
Well, you seem to have very strong feelings about the final table. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Look, I've been with you and the main event final table longer than any relationship I've ever had. The three of us are sewn together at the hip.
A Norman Chad commitment. You gotta love it.
And Las Vegas loves a local, Garry Gates, making the run of a lifetime here.
The blinds are at 500,000 and 1 million with a 1 million chip big blind ante. And Gates is going to get cheered a lot tonight no matter what he does. A raise to 2.2 million. The youngest. There he is, Nick Marchington. Dario Sammartino looking sharp tonight. He gives it up. Small blind and the big blind. And Gates wins the first hand of this final table. All right, we talked about the overwhelming chip leader, Hossein Ensan. Kara Scott caught up with him before play began just a few moments ago. He's quite the guy.
Hossein Ensan is coming in as the runaway chip leader, 177 big blinds. How confident are you feeling right now?
So what can I say, Kara? I have 177 bigs. I feel me very confident. And I look for future, what can happen.
Thanks so much. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Norman, historically, the chip leader is guaranteed almost to finish top 3. I mean, this big a lead, you got to think at least that, right?
Top 3, anything that's not top 3 would be a big, big disappointment. But I would bet against the field against a chip leader in any final table.
And Jamie, he's just not just any chip leader. This guy's won an EPT title. He knows what he's doing out there.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't just have the chips, he has the experience. He has 2.6 million in earnings. Even though this is just his first main event cash, he has a ton of experience in other events.
He just might not have come over here that much. You know, I mean, he knows what he's doing. So Sammartino with a small blind after Milos Skrbic raised it up with king 6 of diamonds. Sammartino with the pocket pair.
Dario has not been feeling well, but he's decided better to look good than feel good. He looks sharp today.
32-year-old Italian-born, lives in Austria, starting this final table in 6th place with 33.4 million. Up top, you can see he's already lost a few chips from hand number 1. And those are the chip counts to start each hand up top, so you can follow along. And they are in seat order. Ensan in seat number 1, all the way down to Livingston in seat 9. Sammartino pops it all the way.
And Skrbic is going to get punished for this slightly loose open. On a short stack, you're going to want to just let this king 6 suited go. It's unfortunate, though, when you get a tiny bit out of line, get jammed on the first time.
Kevin Maahs, Chicago-born. Hey, did you figure that with the Hangtown look and the Cubs hat? Yeah, he comes in 4th place in chips in the big blind with Jack 7 of spades. And what is going on here, Jamie?
He's just taking his time to fold.
We know that.
He asked for a count, which is quite surprising. I really don't see the point of that.
31-4.
And then you're playing 20?
Yeah.
About 20.
23 to start.
I guess setting the tone for what he's willing to fold somehow, but we're on a delay. They'll see in 30 minutes what every hand is being played. And Skrbic folds and the shove gets through. The Super Dario, I like it.
Come on. Heart attack inducing over there.
Big field means big payouts. Everyone guaranteed $1 million tonight. Pay jumps are pretty small, as Jamie mentioned early on, and then they go from 3 to 4 to 6, all the way to $10 million, along with that beautiful main event bracelet at the end of the night. Zhen Cai from Lake Worth, Florida, 3rd place as they came in tonight. Ace Queen off.
Yeah, so with the pay jumps being a little bit small in the beginning and then really large up top, players are incentivized to gamble it up on this day. It is easier said than done when you're talking about $250,000 real money, but for the ones who are trying to win and trying to make a $10 million score, they really do need to be moving today.
With Ace Queen, Cai raises to 2.7 million. Big blind 1 million, remember? There was Alex Livingston, made a deep run at the main event in 2013. He folds. And now Nick Marchington with pocket 10s. The short stack, the youngest player.
Find
Yeah, and
out
I'd
I
be
was
pretty
fighting.
happy to see this. Kai opened off a pretty big stack. Even though he is under the gun, you
was a
do
big
expect
secret.
him to be trying to get involved
Even
and
I knew
steal a
that
little
one.
bit.
Come on.
All in.
And there is young Nick. He says all
Here we go
in.
again. Oh man. Yeah, can you count it up first? We'll count that up.
Uh-oh.
Can I get a count?
He was serious.
This is back-to-back counts
at
for
first.
Maahs. Seem rather unnecessary.
19-6.
Good luck.
You know, there's no other table now, so other
Thank you.
He just wants to see if I can count.
19-6.
19-6.
Back to Zhen Cai.
About 1/3 of a stack.
His first main event cash. He owns a circuit ring from New Orleans.
So what Kai's thinking about right now is that it does look strong that he opened under the gun, and for Marchington to still shove almost 20 big blinds with a $250,000 pay jump to think about.
He's flipping, he knows, right?
I mean, I think you're hoping to flip.
Yeah, exactly.
19-6 total.
But I do think his hand is still too strong to let go.
Nick Marchington from Hornchurch, Essex, England. His mom and grandparents flew in today, and there is the call from Kai. And Marchington with the tens has the made hand and a chance for an early double up through Zhen Cai.
And you know, it would save time on these coin flip hands if they just flip a coin and moved on. It just takes too long to deal out the cards.
It takes too long to deal out the cards.
I think Marchington probably feels the same. You tend to age. He's going to be 35 by the end of this hand.
Would you flip it 5 times, one for each card on the board, or no?
Well, actually, no, we call it a coin flip, but it's a race, and Marchington, 57% here.
It's a little better than that. And a 10 in the flop. Marchington now having to have Kai go runner. A great feeling with your main event life on the line.
Almost a smile from Nick Marchington as he knows he is going to be able to double up here.
And there you go, an early double up for Marchington, who was the tournament leader just a few days ago. He sunk down to the bottom stack, and now Kai doubling up the Brit. Perhaps the most breathtaking trophy in all of sports, the World Series of Poker Championship bracelet. Maybe not for everyday use, but when you need that little extra bling. On the French's chip denominations, the mustard yellow ones, as we mentioned, 1 million each. The red mini frisbees, $500,000, and the normal size lavender chips worth $100 grand each.
Thing, like little squirt bottle, you know.
We have a total of 514 million chips in play.
It's amazing. This event starts with 8,500, and here at the final table, 3 people in their first main event ever with a chance to become world champion. Kevin Maahs, Nick Marchington, and Timothy Sue.
And they all seem very comfortable in their skins deep in the main event. Kai has had the action folded to him.
I have.
That was kind of nasty. You under 20 now?
14.5, 17.5.
Four USA players right in the middle there. Maahs, Sue, Kai, and Gates.
All in. All in.
Oh,
And a
wow,
call.
snap call.
And Gates with ace queen. Skrbic dominated in the big blind with ace jack. It is Skrbic at risk with the lesser hand.
And this is just a setup. Blind versus blind, you widen your ranges, and ace jack rates to be the best hand here almost all the time. Very unlucky.
Never trust that blind on blind situation. Skrbic came here to win it. He said the money ladder did not mean anything to him. He was here to win the bracelet. He's the best player. He should win. Right now, he needs a lot of help against this guy, Garry Gates.
Skrbic, the first Serbian-born player to make the main event final table. And trying to stick around here.
He said he was going to be the Novak Djokovic of poker and be #1 in the world just like Novak is, but he's going to need some help here. Ace-Jack at risk. Oh.
He's got a gutter.
He does indeed have a gutter. A gut shot straight, an 8 or a jack would put him in the lead.
Skrbic got knocked out in the money last year when he had queens against jacks. He needs to get lucky here.
He does not on the turn. So Milos Skrbic, who has been through the war of the World Series of Poker main event, now down to perhaps his last river card. Heather will deal his fate. It is the 5 of hearts, and that will do it. Gates with the first knockout on this championship table. Milos Skrbic finishes in 9th place. Skrbic wins $1 million for a terrific run, his second ever $1 million payday in poker. And now Gates with almost 125 million chips. He put it in with what he thought was going to be the best hand, but he ended up being dominated by Gates and the Gates rail. Earlier, we talked to Garry Gates about that big rail and how good they make him feel.
My life to this point has been a bit of a roller coaster in a lot of different ways. And I have people in my life that without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And to see those faces on the rail, to see my dad here, to see my best friends, and just seeing their energy and presence, I mean, that just means everything to me.
Gary has said that he's cried 4 or 5 times just the last couple of days, looking over some of the text messages that are coming in his support.
He was choking up in the interview too, and just a little bit off camera. So just to start talking about it, it's overwhelming. I mean, that support you get from your people here, and the Vegas people love their Vegas players, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah. So now Garry Gates still in second, but a healthier stack up to almost 125 million. Zhen Cai in third place with 45 million. So that gap between 1, 2, and 3 is huge.
Yeah, and that's just an amazing spot to be in if you're Ensan or Garry Gates. They can really punish those middling stacks that don't want to go out in 8th. Put a lot of pressure on them. I expect them to be 3-betting any opens from middle stacks pretty liberally.
Raise 2.5.
Gates now with the ace-jack on the button and a raise to 2.5 million. The chip leader, Hossein Ensan, says no thanks. And the raise will get through for Gates. We've got a knockout already. Garry Gates doing the deed. We are left with 8. Well, the dream is almost real, and all the players got a taste of it. Some of the guys that I don't want to actually touch it, while others revel in the moment. 3 oldest players at the table. Age order is the same as their stack order. Ensan, Gates, and Cai in order 1, 2, and 3. Age and chip stacks, and they own almost 68% of all the chips in play right now. Timothy Sue, 25-year-old Boston software engineer with a pocket pair. Did he shove?
He shoved.
All right, no, he's pretty short.
He used to grind StarCraft in high school, and he would neglect homework.
I believe it's 17-7.
Cai with king, queen of diamonds.
Your reaction was not that crazy. Pocket 3s under the gun in this situation where you can make pay jumps. You make money by folding. You just hope that 2 other stacks clash and the bystanders all profit from it. So this is a loose shove.
So Sue, who was on the edge to go to college and get into software engineering or become a professional musician, loves classical music. He plays the oboe and other orchestral type instruments.
No, I'm sorry. I was right the first time. 17-7.
He's been one of the looser guns here coming down the stretch, so I'm not shocked that he shoved here. And he has a sort of a carefree attitude. In fact, Timothy says winning is great, but also losing to people who play better is also great. Who the heck says that?
Seriously. This is why he smiles all the time, though. I need to adopt this attitude.
Yeah, it's a great attitude in his first main event.
Zhen Cai starting the hand, as you see, right above his head with 45 million. He needs almost 18 million of that to make this call against the tiny pocket pair onto the gun.
And Kai really should let this one go, in my opinion. You have so many people left to act after you. It's also awkward for your stack when you have 45 million and you're facing a shove of a little over 17. You're going to have to reshove and isolate, and you just don't want to put yourself in risk when you don't need to.
Around to the chip leader, Ensan.
Oh, this is trouble.
Jack.
Call.
He does make the call. And because he's the big stack, somebody with maybe some decision on the edge might opt to fold.
I think if you have ace-jack in his position and it's going to severely hurt your stack to call, you could let that one go. But it doesn't even put a dent in Ensan if he loses his flip.
No, and Maahs, you saw, folded a better pocket pair, the fours. And so Timothy Su at risk. He's already got the pocket pair. Ensan needs to find an ace or a jack right now. That's his immediate concern.
Su in for his entire stack. Ensan in for just 10% of his stack. First main event for Timothy Su, and he said that playing the main is just something he always thought about doing once in his life. I don't know if this is going to be the only time he plays in his life, but what a ride it's been.
He can afford to play for 10 lifetimes now off this cash.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Northeastern University grad trying to go through the guy who did not finish college, and there is a jack in the flop, and now it is Su in need of help. Timothy Su now on the hook to become our 8th place finisher. Still with a smile on his face. 10 of spades, he's down to his last card.
One time.
He's allowed to ask for his one time. He's been a joy to watch.
The river card, another jack. And the chip leader gets stronger, the field gets shorter, everyone gets a raise as Timothy Su will finish in 8th place and win $1.25 million.
When he walked into the main event, he had career tournament earnings of $2,467. What a first main event for Timothy Su.
And he played like someone who wasn't scared. You know, I would be terrified if I only had one cash before this, basically.
Ensan with the call, a very easy call for him. Timothy Su with the fist bump to his vanquisher, and finally comes up empty. Hossein Ensan gets us down to our final 7. Two of our final tablists have some game-changing recent history. Let's go down to Kara Scott, who has that story.
A big hand on day 7 between Ensan and Marchington has been on both of their minds. The two played quite a bit together on days 6 and 7, and Ensan told me that he's confident he knows Marchington's game. Nick is a very aggressive and a good player, but the hand where he check-raised bluffed and then bet 2 more streets, in Ensan's opinion, just wasn't good. He said that Marchington tried too hard to put pressure on him, which just wasn't going to work against his big stack. He says that Marchington should have saved himself some chips and targeted the smaller stacks instead. Now, Marchington told me that he didn't make the best decision in that hand. He's happy with how he's been playing overall, though, and says it's important that you don't put too much pressure on yourself when things go wrong. It'll be interesting to see them tangle here at the final table, sitting beside each other, the short stack and the big stack, like David and Goliath with a bit of history.
$30 million in the middle. The two big stacks at this table.
25 million.
And a call. Oh my goodness. What a misstep. Hossein Ensan gifted the main event leadership right now.
25 million was the bet.
Indeed, Ensan now with another pocket pair. And he just limps for 1 million. Dario now with jacks.
Dario recently went skydiving in Australia for the first time. I prefer flying economy plus. You get more leg room and no need to have to jump out of the plane.
Everyone focused on this dapper Dan, anticipating an escalation of the action based on his timing.
Well, you got to punish the limper. Chip leader's got 200 million plus, and he thinks he can see a flop for 1 million. Please.
And the expected raise makes it 3.8 million to go now from the cutoff.
That will scatter the shoe clerks and crumb bums all across Clark County.
Maahs now on the button with the second shortest stack. The average 61 million. He folded to Cai in the small blind. Foldable hand. Gates now in the big blind. Gates folds. Now back to the original limper, Ensan with the monster stack.
Now he might have reconsidered if there were a 3-bet in front of him, but certainly was going to see a flop here heads up.
Put me on ace high.
So a call from Ensan.
I check.
Ensan checks dark. I thought only me and Helmuth like to do that.
There's the flop and top set for Dario.
As you can see, the percentages favor Sammartino here. I have been at 0.1% at many points of my marriage.
I think you need to invent a new scale to work off. Maybe hire a husband spin doctor.
That's 3.5.
Good for you.
Dario with the continuation bet.
And unfortunately for Sammartino, there's just nothing Ensan can do with sixes here.
He's smart enough to know that. And he does fold. Sammartino will take that pot of over 13.5 million chips. And the super Dario rail giving him the chant.
Dario Sammartino.
We are 7-handed at the World Series of Poker main event final table. Come on back. The main event comes but once per year, and how sweet it is. But you can relive the action all year long. Watch WSOP Main Event archive episodes featuring the biggest moments from the most prestigious event of the year, exclusively on PokerGO. Back inside the mothership at the Rio, 7 players remain at this talented final table. Everyone a millionaire, everyone hunting for the $10 million first place prize.
I am slowly warming up to these chants. Slowly.
What a rail for
So
Dario.
now the chants are coming even when their man doesn't win a hand. That's the way it needs to be here.
You see Mustafa Knit, who was the Italian all-time money leader.
All-time money leader, right?
And Giuseppe Pantaleo, who's another bracelet winner from Italy.
Good catch. Gates now, ace-queen offsuit.
Like 37, Dario.
Almost 37 with blinding.
So they have to swap rails if one
That's
knocks
what he
the other
says.
out?
I was wondering if the
So what happens
rail
to Gary's
knows.
rail if Gary knocks out Dario?
Oh, no.
What is that?
You win the rail. If you beat the other person.
Oh, they join your
Yeah.
rail. That's what I thought. So,
So
you
pretty much-
win the rail. You
yes.
win the rail.
Yeah.
That's what.
When they're all in, their rail is also in the middle.
Correct. Okay, that's what I thought. I was wondering why they would.
Raise 2.8.
Just to clarify. A raise from Garry Gates, his 7th main event, his 4th cash. Marchington folds a small. Dario. Nothing to play. Gates with another pot. There are no small pots. Garry with a huge following, even more. It has swelled since he made this final table. And he was tweeting about this old Nintendo Mike Tyson punch-out game. Every year I play the main event, I like myself the Little Mac from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Day 1C was Fight 1, Round 1. First up, Glass Joe. No cheat codes. Good luck to all my pals in the ring. Nice.
I wonder who at this table would be his Mike Tyson. Does it have to be Ensan?
You know, I mean, I don't think the little guy is as small as the little guy in there because of the stacks. And Garry, as Norman and you both pointed out, is playing very solid poker. From Ensan, it's been hard to get a real feel for how well he plays in a lot of situations because he's just been getting chunk after chunk of chips handed to him in a number of situations. So we actually haven't seen him play that much poker, really.
But his style certainly isn't Mike Tyson-like, even with the big stack. He's not running out across the ring and saying, I'm going to knock you out right here, right now.
He hasn't bitten anyone's ears as far as I could see.
No, he hasn't been in the game long enough. Oh, and Marchington moves all in after Ensan raised with kings. Oh, my. Marchington with ace-7 off on the button.
So unfortunate for Marchington. Ensan's raising the cutoff. You have to think he's light. He's the chip leader. You have an ace and a short stack on the button. I think this is a perfectly good shove, and he's very unlucky.
Just unlucky, and Maahs folds quickly, and a quick call. Marchington turns over his ace, only to see the kings.
King.
And Marchington probably knew he was going to have to hit his ace no matter what he was up against. And yeah, that is certainly the case. He has one live card. These two guys do have history. And Marchington in danger of sending all of his stack now to Ensan. And in the process, becoming our 7th place finisher. And you saw the fist bump by the 2. Ensan very happy to share the moment. Nothing in there for ace-7 right away.
A backdoor straight draw, shred of hope.
Always backdoors, always backdoors. But yes, very real. Nick Marchington looking to hang on. Turn card.
Oh.
The 5. So yeah, open-ended now.
And Nick goes from 3 outs to 11.
Nick, day 6 chip leader. Not so after day 7. You see his outs up top. 9, 4, or ace to stick around. Otherwise, he is our 7th place finisher. The river card is the Queen of Spades. Ensan with his 2nd straight knockout at this final table.
And the 21-year-old's bid to become the youngest main event champion ever is over. What an impressive run for Nick Marchington.
Kevin Maahs high-fiving everyone, just got a pay raise who is still in the game. Take a look. All right, pre-flop, fist bump, good luck. Nick says, okay, the flop is starting to give me a little hope. The turn gave him a little more hope. And all his draws came up empty on the end. And Nick Marchington becomes our 7th place finisher.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion.
Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that bite?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
We are 6-handed for that bracelet, and it comes with a $10 million bonus. Maahs now with ace-9 of hearts. His first main event cash is going to be at least $1.85 million. And you just have to put that out of your mind at the moment, maybe in between hands when you've made a pay jump and you're high-fiving everyone in your rail. But while you're playing the game, you need to put all that aside. And it takes so much concentration and so many calculations. It's easy to get laser focused at the table, and that's exactly what you need to do. The biggest moment of your poker life.
I bet Zhen Cai still has a heart rate of about 180 right now.
After that, yeah. Well, we caught one of Cai's cards. Gates now with a small pocket pair. It's been raised and called. Gates in the small blind. Does he want to play big pot out of position? And he says yes. Livingston folds his big blind.
Gates has the luxury of seeing a lot of flops if he wants to, and a pocket pair in the small blind, look what it can do.
Oh my goodness.
You just have most of the fours.
Yep. He has 3 of the 4 fours. And he flopped big earlier against Ensan when he flopped the straight after playing 8-5. So now on Maahs, he checks. Gates checks. Cai, and sometimes the reader doesn't get to the graphics, but I have people in the know who do say it is pocket sevens and wanted me to pass that along.
That's 5.5.
If this board stays low, this is going to be a problem for Cai.
Very gross for Cai, yeah. And so $5.5 million into the pot for Cai with what we know is an overpair to the board. Gates, though, has flopped a set of 4s.
It's not often that pocket 4s makes top set.
Just one of the few flops in which it can make top set.
You can go 4-3-3 or 4-2 deuce.
That's a full house.
Call.
It's the only hand then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Figured that out.
Heads up.
You would be held back at the Norman Chat School of Poker.
I would. Now there is the full house.
And this is more bad news for Cai. I mean, his 7s look very strong. And also, Garry has no reason here to have to protect his hand. He has a boat. So he can just milk him for it right here. You just hope that Cai puts in some chips.
And no 7 comes.
And no 7 comes. And the deuce shouldn't be scary to Cai because there are some deuces that Gary's going to flat in the small blind, but not a lot. They're going to be the ace-deuce suiteds. And that's pretty much it. So he's feeling even better about his 7s here.
Small bet?
4.3.
4.3?
Yeah, this seems like the type of bet you make so that you earn a check on the river from your opponent. You can keep the pot a little bit small, keep it reasonable. If Garry feels that way, though, he's out of position. It's going to look weird for him to lead the river. So he may just raise here, even with the boat.
He's getting those tiny $500,000 chips out of the way, bringing forward the yellow worth $1 million.
I'm wondering what Gary's plan is to get more chips out of this pot.
Just a call.
This may be where he's just thinking that he wants to keep all the bluffs in Cai's range, and he also is hoping that Cai has a hand, like an overpair, that is going to go for one more street of value.
And Cai has an overpair to this entire board, amazingly enough.
It's still such a dicey situation, though. Yeah. Good check back.
Yeah. Almost 30 million in the middle going to Garry Gates.
You gotta peek. There's a camera.
And Garry Gates with a monster pot. And now he is close on The tale of Ensan for the chip lead. As Garry Gates continues to build. It's the haves and have-nots, six-handed here. The main event final table.
Cameras on him, then maybe.
First is best. There you go. Top 5 prizes at the main
know.
event. This is tied with number 2 from 2014 when Martin Jacobson won 10 million, and of course Jamie Gold won 12 million back in 06.
You know, it's kind of funny. You know how a lot of poker players who quit playing poker move on to do some trading?
Mm-hmm.
Koppelman moved on from a poker movie to now writing shows about trading. Is that just the career trajectory for all of us eventually?
Mind blown.
That's another Remco stat. So useful.
Ensan with Queen Jack and a raise. Maahs here with pocket 9s in the small blind. Let's see if he acts quickly. Relatively.
Maahs acting quickly when he has playable hands and acting slowly when he's folding his hands would be like if a poker player sat down and wore sunglasses but took them off while they were in hands.
You're right. "27-year-old Maahs.
I gotta make that guy never play poker again.
Got some haters out there.
I call. Call 2.4.
Finally. Finally something's going right for Cai.
High with ace king in the big blind.
All in?
Let's go. And
how does Queen Jack look now?
Queen Jack's hitting the muck, but 9's got a decision to make here.
Sure does. And luckily we've got a half hour left in the level.
Count, please. Count, please.
Standard count. Maahs has Cai covered, but not by much. So he calls here. It's pretty much for his tournament life as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really hard decision. The way that it played out, I feel like 9's probably will lean towards a call since he didn't 3-bet. His hand's totally under wraps.
There you go. He does make the call with the pocket pair. Cai with ace king. And as you mentioned, almost 2 even stacks. Maahs with the bigger stack. A chance to knock out that man right there, Zhen Cai. So it was bound to happen. 2 of the smaller stacks flashing with big hands. It is Maahs on the left with the made hand, Cai on the right needing help. Ace king at risk. And here's the flop.
Ooh.
Everything but ace king. Maahs doesn't like that. A little sick as he looks down at the flop.
The equity's barely changed there.
Zhen Cai looking to hang on. His buddy Tony Miles rooting for a winning card. Maahs pacing nervously. A harmless 4 on the turn. So it comes down to the river. Will Maahs take all of Zhen Cai's chips?
Cai trying to hit the ace or the king, or a 10 gives him a straight and keeps him around.
The river card, the deuce of diamonds, and we have our 4th knockout of the night, courtesy of Kevin Maahs.
And poor Cai, just nothing went his way. Like, he just was met with better hands all night long.
Yeah, just a night of horrors for Zhen Cai. A disappointing final table for the Florida pro.
But still, he will take home $1,850,000. He had live winnings before this night of $214,000. Kevin Maahs with the 4th knockout. Dad is stoked. So with Zhen Cai's elimination, 5 players remain from 4 different countries. Ensan still with the lead, but Gates closing in. Maahs moves into 3rd after Cai's departure.
Not a fan of the goodbye chant on the way out. No reason to make an elimination sting more.
On poker's biggest night, the action did not disappoint. What was once a table of 9 is now a table of 5. They say it's a marathon, but by its nature, the main event is more like a heavyweight fight. Final table, round 1. Skrbic, Sue, Marchington.
Guys, we're 6-handed at the World Series main event final table.
Cai knocked out. 5 are left standing. Ensan, Gates, Maahs, Livingston, Sammartino. Tonight is round 2 with 2 more knockouts on deck. The championship bracelet awaits. Welcome back to Las Vegas for day 2 of the 50th edition of the World Series of Poker main event. After a whirlwind night of poker, we're down to 5 contenders for the bracelet and a top prize of $10 million. Raucous crowds turned out last night. We expect more of the same tonight as the stakes are raised on day 2 of the final table. It's still anyone's title to win, but the top 2 stacks are worthy of some extra attention. 37-year-old Garry Gates, who likens himself to Little Mac from the classic Mike Tyson Punch-Out video game, stands second in chips with all the confidence in the world. The only player with a bigger stack right now is that man, 55-year-old German Hossein Ensan. He came to the final table with a big chip lead, and he still holds the lead after 1 day of play. Welcome back to the mothership inside the Amazon room at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino. 5-handed play about to get underway. I'm Lon McCarron, along with Norman Chad and poker pro Jamie Kerstetter. Jamie, last night we saw the power of the big stack, not necessarily in the terms of how Ensan and Gates played, but in the terms of the patience afforded to the fortunate few who have a lot of chips. Now, how long would you expect this trend to continue, and when is the most effective time for the big stacks to make their moves?
Pros know that tournaments are all about switching gears. There's a time and a place for everything. Last night was about avoiding an implosion. Mission accomplished. I expect Hossein and Garry to apply pressure on the shorter stacks. The jump from 5th to 4th is huge, $800,000. So Sammartino, Livingston, and Maahs will be very focused on moving up.
Norman, can you update the folks at home on how we got 5-handed?
Yeah, there were some flips. Kevin Maahs tanked, and I still don't know who this is.
Please elaborate. Explain it further.
From the guy named after an airport? Okay, here's what happened. Hossein Ensan started with a lot of chips and ended with a lot of chips. It's going to take a strong individual to pry those chips out of his burly grasp. Garry Gates won just about every pot he entered. I guess it's a thank you for time served in the poker industry. Meanwhile, Sammartino and Livingston have played like the solid pros they are. 32-year-old Norman Chad could have used some advice from that pair of 32-year-olds. And then there is Kevin Maahs. Cubs fans waited 108 years to win a World Series, and last night, Maahs tried to replicate that wait between hands 7 and 8. Heck, if Kevin keeps tanking with 8-4, he might single-handedly knock SportsCenter off the air.
All right, before we get back to the play, let's get a first look at our leaderboard. The Corona Premier Final Table chip counts right now. It is Ensan and Gates is up at the top, and their tournament to lose, and then 3 short stacks. All right, to get us underway, let's get it down to the floor. World Series of Poker Vice President Jack Effel with the shuffle up and deal.
Well, tonight's play will begin with 28 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in level 38. Kevin Maahs has the button. The blinds are 600,000 and 1.2 million with a 1.2 million big blind ante. And now, Heather, please shuffle up and deal.
Heather, the 2019 World Series of Poker Dealer of the Year, the first one in the box tonight. And we do again have that raucous crowd that we promised. The Respawn Tournament Summary, day 12 of this 13-day event, the second biggest main event in history. Prize pool, $81 million total. We have over $25 million left to award. Dario Sammartino, the short stack. Norman, so far, everything going according to Hoyle. The bottom 3 stacks first to go last night. We expect pretty much the same moving forward from here.
Well, this looks like we're on a collision course for a Hossein Ensan, Garry Gates heads-up showdown. But as we say on the rodeo circuit, anything can happen. Don't be surprised if someone up gets in there.
Jamie, you've got those sources on the street. What's the word out there about what's going to happen at this final table and what's gone on already?
Well, the first few pay jumps were pretty small relative to the top 3 spots, so the big stacks just didn't have as much power to wield yesterday. I think today, with the massive pay jumps looming, they're going to be able to really put pressure on these middling stacks.
And Son, our chip leader right there, and the chip counts up top in order of seat number. Ensan in seat number 1 with almost 208 million chips to start the final table tonight. And Alex Livingston will give it up, and Ensan picking up chips right away.
Livingston makes very quick folds with hands that have decent value. Contrast that with Maahs, who takes a very long time with very crummy cards.
And there is Kevin Maahs, and you see taking a little extra time to decide what to do.
Yeah, a lot of extra time. You see most of the players take about 15 seconds pre-flop to make a decision. Alex Livingston is very quick. Kevin Maahs taking nearly half a minute, an average of half a minute with his pre-flop decisions.
Yeah, if we're going by soccer standards, Maahs is absolutely dominating the field in possession time.
He is, isn't he? And camera time. And he told me that is his normal game. It's like a home game. That's what he does at his home games. It's what he does here. It's not to put anybody on tilt. It's just what he does. So we just have to live with it.
Well, in his defense, we may not like it, and I don't, but he is free and clear to use this tact. He's not doing anything outside of the rules.
56 hands played on the first
2.5.
night of this championship table. Garry Gates now on the button, opening things up. King 7 of spades. Blinds at 600,000, 1.2 million in the big blind and in the big blind ante. Livingston Jack 10 offsuit in the small.
Re-raise, 8.8.
I'm actually surprised that Livingston is stepping out right now with the Jack 10 off. It's good to be 3-betting this from the small blind. It's hard to play out of position. But Sammartino is really short, about a little less than 20 big blinds. I expected him to not be super aggressive versus the 2 bigger stacks until Sammartino has to make a move.
And Gates does fold the King 7 suited, and so Alex Livingston picking up some early chips. And Israel loves it. Before play got underway, Alex talked with our own Kara Scott.
Going into 5-handed play, Alex Livingston is 4th in chips right now. Alex, you told me earlier it was important to you to play this like it was any other tournament. So how do you do that? How do you block out the enormity of this final table?
I just try to remember it's another poker tournament. I've been trying to say to my rail the whole time, I play this like it's the big 55. So I had a couple spots when we were 10-handed, one with pocket 8s and one with king queen, where I think a lot of people would have tanked just because it's the difference between making the final 9 or not, but they were just standard spots, so I went with them.
Have you been able to play your game, or are you a little bit constrained with chip size?
Well, I had a situation earlier where I made a fold with pocket queens. It's been getting a lot of scrutiny. A lot of that had to do with the other stack sizes and ICM considerations, so I'm just constantly staying on top of what the stack sizes are and what I can do with my stack and maneuverability. Right now, 2 guys have all the chips, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Tell me what the most unexpected thing has been about this final table.
That's a good question. I'm not really sure how to answer that. I guess There were a few unusual plays, I think, from everybody yesterday, including myself with the queens. There were a lot of plays that maybe people didn't expect. So going over the video today was interesting, and I'm definitely going to have a few adjustments coming into today.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem.
Blind on blind, Ensan raised. Sammartino shoved. Ensan called with tens. Dario at risk, needing help against the chip leader. Boom, boom. Sammartino shoved early on this final table last night, and now here running into the pocket pair of the chip leader.
Yeah, Sammartino had to expect to be ahead here. Ace-Jack rates to be ahead when it folds the small blind. He raises you. I love that spot. Kind of unfortunate to run into a pocket pair and not just an ace that he dominates.
Current payout, $2.2 million. Talked to Dario just moments ago. He said he's comfortable with what's happened so far, not stressed and feeling good. Tens again, there's a jack in the window. Ensan now is the one needing help, or he will double up Sammartino right here. Another jack. Ensan still with outs, but not many. Ensan looking for a 10. It does not come, and Sammartino with an early double up to $45 million.
That is such a good rail. I also have to compliment Liv Bourret, who's on his rail, who managed to jump up and down and not spill her beer on anyone.
That's talent.
Veteran two-fisted drinker, I believe.
Do you think that Garry Gates was rooting against Dario because he would have inherited that entire rail?
They do have the bet, right?
Yeah.
This is the real one?
Yep, Gary, it's real and it's spectacular. The players always have fun checking out the bracelet, though some superstitiously won't even touch it. Garry Gates on the button, pocket fives. He started the action last night with 99 million. He ended with over 171 million.
Raise 2.8.
It's just been a dream-like week or so for Garry Gates. Long time in poker media, then moves over to Poker Stars and player relations. Very rarely gets to this side of the table, and he's close to becoming world champion.
An uptick for the chip leader yesterday. Not quite as big as Gates. Ensan starting with 177 million. Picked up 30 million chips during play at the 56 hands last night.
Call.
Two diamonds allows Ensan to make the call against the other big stack. Queen, tray, 4. Ensan pairs up, but it's not enough to overcome the pocket pair of Garry Gates.
Ensan with 5 sisters and 4 brothers. Won a single table satellite to get to this main event. First one to beat his own family to make it here.
I was wondering if he's going to play them. Check by Ensan, and Gates reaching for chips.
Bet 3.1.
Gates is happy with this flop with his fives. Don't really worry about the queen. You want to protect against more overcards peeling off. I think Ensan will come along, though. The 4 is good enough. Gary's going to be c-betting a whole lot of hands that the 4 will beat.
Raise 9.5.
Well, Ensan is going to put some pressure on Gates here now. A raise to 9.5 million.
I'd be tempted to peel if I were Garry. Yes, you don't want to get into massive pots with the other chip leader with these short stacks hanging around, but there are a lot of turn cards that are really good for your hand. You can turn a straight draw. You can turn a spade, hope to hang on, but I don't think Ensan will just continue. I would think that too, that you're in position, you could call, and that Ensan's not crazy. He hasn't shown himself to be crazy, so he may just stop barreling against you when you show that your hand's pretty strong.
And overcard does fall on the turn. Gates is still good here. Ensan has the action. He raised Garry on the flop. Garry came along. And here he goes again.
This is looking like a big barrel. And I think that if you are going to barrel this turn, you should make it a healthy one. Just try to end the hand right now.
Well, he's working on pot size almost.
Bet 21-9.
We haven't seen Ensan as chip leader flex his muscle that often.
No, we haven't.
And so that gives him a little more credibility here. He seems to play all the spots correctly, though.
Is this, I mean, definitely, I know it's an early test for Garry, but is this specifically for Ensan to test the man who is closest to him this early on and utilize that for later?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that the more he can pull away from Garry, the more he can abuse just everyone. When he and Garry are sitting atop the chip counts and they're kind of close, they have to kind of stay out of each other's way. This is a huge pickup for him. He's separating himself from the second chips, and now Garry really has to worry about getting in pots with him.
And it does work. Ensan taking that pot. Well played by Hossein Ensan. Welcome back to the Rio and the 50th edition of the World Series of Poker. French's chip denominations. Lavender 100K. Didn't get into the mini frisbees. The red, yellow, and the purples worth $5 million.
That was probably a real thing.
was not good.
You'll get credit for it, though.
I don't know what you have.
Ensan
I didn't have a flush.
trying to become the second German to win the main event. P.S. Heinz in 2011 was main event champion. He also had become the third Iranian-born champion. Mansour Matloubi in 1990, Hamid Dasmalchi in 1992 from Iran.
Maahs with a hand to think about. Ace queen of spades.
Raise 2.6.
2.6. Gates is going to want to see that last hand that he folded to Ensan as soon as possible, and his rail is on it, I'm sure.
Call.
Ace-jack offsuit for Livingston. He comes along. Ensan now up to 214 million. That might be his high point. Okay, boys, what are you up to? Watch what I can do.
Call.
Yeah, this hand is just so fun to play. It would be a shame if he made it 14 or 15 million and then Maahs decided this is the hand that he wants to go with.
Fish's money is off the ground.
Dario definitely enticed by the prices getting here out of the big blind.
Good call, everyone. Everyone, good call. Take the Fish's money. Let's go.
How much to get my cards back?
You can take. Okay.
You have to bribe the dealer.
Good call.
When was the last time we had a
No respect. No respect.
There's 5-8 jack. Livingston hits his best card.
Check.
Considering the circumstances.
Yep. Everyone with a little piece of it, though.
Eights for Sammartino and Ensan.
And look, Maahs has 60% of a royal flush.
Yeah.
Check.
Check to Livingston.
Bet 5.5.
Top pair, top kicker.
And Ensan has a hand with a lot of possibilities, but it's a bit of a scary position to be in. You are going to be kissing those 5.5 million goodbye sometimes when someone is slow playing and planning to check raise.
35 behind.
It's something to think about, though, when the button is the player that puts the bet out. It's the most likely player to just have nothing and say, okay, 3 people check to me. They're not interested. Why not buy this one? I'll take it. So it looks like he's thinking that might be the case and going for a check raise here.
Raise 12.3.
Livingston doesn't have ICM to worry about too much right now, as he and Sammartino are about the same on the bottom. His hand is so high up in his range that I would just love this spot and just decide to get it in versus Ensan. There's a chance that he has 9-10, Queen 10, things that have equity that are a little scary to your hand that you can fold out with this. There's also the chance that he could possibly call you with the worst hand like King Jack.
Livingston finds a call. The pot is over 36 million. We welcome those who are just joining us on the ESPN networks. This is night 2 of the World Series of Poker Main Event final table. 5 players remain. Lon McCarron, Norman Chad, Jamie Kerstetter here. And we are involved in a hand between Alex Livingston and the chip leader, Hossein Ensan, who is beginning to use his monster stack in a monster way, getting the other players who have committed a lot of chips to fold, and he is pulling away from the rest of this field, Jamie.
That's a really tight fold. I don't think you can make that fold against Ensan there. It's afraid of monsters on the bed a little bit.
It has been very interesting so far. Dario Sammartino doubled up early. We've got a bracelet to hand out. We'll be back with more.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion.
Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that bite?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
The main event comes but once per year, but you can relive the action all year long. Watch WSOP Main Event archive episodes featuring the biggest moments from the most prestigious event of the year. You can watch it anytime, anywhere, exclusively on PokerGO. Back inside the mothership, 5-handed for the 2019 World Series of Poker Main Event title. Action on Kevin Maahs with 7-5 offsuit. Kevin was the subject of quite a bit of criticism for his delay tactics on night 1. A little quicker here.
If you don't have a good hand, throw it away quickly. If you do have a good hand, act on it quickly. This isn't hard. Even I can do it.
A decision here on the button, perhaps contemplating how much to raise. Ace 10 for Garry Gates, 37-year-old.
Raised to 3.5.
Lives not far from the Rio. 7th main event, 4th cash for Garry. Now to the big blind, the big stack. Ensan pushed Garry around a little earlier this evening.
I would be prone to flatting this, though. It's a hand that can do really well post flop, and you want to keep some of your some of the hands in Garry's range that you dominate. If you 3-bet this, he's going to be calling you with better kings and really things that have you in bad shape.
And there is a king for Ensan to take the lead.
Milos Ensan was at the Global Casino Championship last year that we were at. He made the final 2 tables. As usual, I have no recollection of him or virtually anybody I ever see a year ago. But he was there. He was in Cherokee. He finished 15th.
Okay.
And, stranger to us.
Are you big timing him from the booth?
Okay. Just by definition, I cannot big time anyone.
Especially people who are playing for 10 million right now.
That's 2.3.
There you go.
And that room is so huge. It's hard to see anybody, know anybody, remember anybody. Beautiful property in Cherokee.
Apparently they were serving you drinks.
Faced with a bet of 2.3 million from Gates.
Call.
And Gates's C-bet is met with a call. Turn card is another club.
Usually when you're semi-bluffing and the turn card improves your hand, it's pretty safe to continue telling your story. I think in this case, though, for Garry, I may elect to just check this back. You have a kind of weak flush draw, and there's a chance you get to show down your ace and just be good, which is always nice.
Ensan improved with a gut shot, and he checks now.
The other benefit if Garry elects to check back is you're not playing a bloated pot against the only guy who can really hurt you.
That is 6.5.
Well, Gates, who lasted nearly 8,000 spots deeper than Jamie Kerstetter in the main event, decides to go the other way.
Hey, I beat at least like a few hundred people. Leave me alone.
I'm sorry. Gates, who lasted more than 7,000 spots, more than Jamie Kerstetter, chooses to go the other way.
Yeah, the other thing that would lead me towards checking back as Gates is that this is a board that's getting better for the big blind defend range and a little worse for the button raising range. So it's easy. Even if Ensan doesn't have a big piece of this, which we see that he does, he can bluff Garry off of this. The hefty check raise a decent amount of the time.
Call.
Well, now Gates hits the river. Not with a club, though.
This is one of those good news, bad news spots. It's good news if Ensan checks to him because now he has showdown value and he doesn't have to bluff. But now he may find a way to call this with just a 10 with this lead out here.
That's 8.9.
On the small side.
I love the way Ensan played his hand, though. Just go ahead, go ahead. Now you must call me on the river.
I think most players in Ensan's spot would probably check this. It's like he senses that Garry hit at 10. You'd think, all right, I'm going to just catch a bluff here if Gates wants to put in another bet, if he just had a club. Oh, Gates looks like he's up to no good here.
He's cutting out a lot of those big 5 milli chips.
I love that.
24.5.
I love the way Garry played this hand.
Call. Showdown.
Oh.
And a call.
Pair of tens.
I love the way Ensan played this hand.
Yeah, so does he, and so does his rail. The gap gets even greater between Hossein Ensan and everyone else in the battle for that bracelet. All is quiet outside the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino, but inside, a lot of noise being made as our final 5 competitors chase $10 million. Amidst the chanting and the cheering, action on Garry Gates with pocket 8s. So much to consider besides just, am I going to play this hand?
Yeah, how much to raise? Could I limp? What position am I in? What are the other stacks? Should I have eaten a burrito before I came here today? Will my sweatshirt get confiscated for copyright infringement? There is indeed a lot to consider.
Wow, I think it could have gone a lot longer there.
More of a basketball fan in golf.
Rapper.
You're a big Blackhawks fan?
What?
Are you a Blackhawks fan?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 2010, 2013,
Good team.
2015. Yeah.
They've been pretty good for the last
Ace
while.
queen suited in the small blind after Gates had raised it up. Gates down to 74.7 million.
You're going to see it anyway later.
He's lost almost 100 million chips so far tonight.
You put me in a tough spot.
Just a call.
Doyle would be mad.
Heads up, Gates raised with the 8s. Ensan calls with the ace queen. Ooh, hello, chip leader flop.
When you're holding the 8s as Garry, 2 aces are always nicer to see than 1. But in this case, Ensan just got it. And he leads out. I would happily put in 3.5 million with 8s right here.
Ensan with 3 aces. We'll see how happy he is. Also another diamond, which neither holds. Ensan with a chance to go through Garry Gates again for more chips.
That's a great card for Garry to just lose interest in this hand. Think what kind of hands is Ensan leading out here? We see that he leads out an ace here. A diamond draw, perhaps. Possibly just overcards, but everything that he has hits that turn.
A check.
I don't mind the check. The check could get Ensan paid off on the river.
And Gates is thinking, but possibly just wanting to slow down the river bet of Ensan. Because 8s here, if you're beat, you're already so very beat.
4.5.
Got paid off on the turn.
That's 4.5.
I'm not sure what Garry is targeting to get a fold out of here. There's really not a lot of better hands that he can fold out. Ensan's most likely hands are an ace, a 7 that bet out to just try to end the hand, not see an overcard in the turn, flush draw that turned into a flush. If he's messing around, then your 8s are good.
Call.
Another diamond on the end.
That's 4.5.
Ensan decides to block bet. I assume he doesn't want to face a big bet of 15, 20 million and have to fold his ace. His bet's designed so that if Garry decides to raise over this, it's strong enough that Ensan can comfortably fold his ace.
Gates struggling with this bet with the 4 diamonds on board.
Well, I wonder if it's in the back of his mind that if he decides to put in the big raise, how he was snap called so quickly on that hand an hour or two ago by Ensan.
It's a weird hand.
I was just going to say this is a weird hand. You'd expect ace queen
Like you just have
suited
a 7.
to 3-bet from the small almost all the time. A lot of strong aces will, especially when the chip leader holds them.
And you have to call or to raise. Do something.
That would have made me fold my cards immediately.
Yeah, such strength to just be able to snap back right there.
It's been a tough night for Garry Gates.
Okay.
Yeah, and he does fold. Hossein Ensan now up to 267 million. Garry Gates in 3rd place right now as his fall continues at this main event final table. That man is still the one to beat. Welcome back to the 2019 World Series of Poker main event. One orbit right now per player. 83 starting stacks, and starting stacks this year were 60,000 chips. Day 1 of the main event, or if you're Kevin Maahs, day 2 of the main event. Ensan now with a hand, pocket 9s. Minimum raise to 4 million.
So with Maahs' style, it's fair to say of these final tablists, he has seen probably the fewest hands of anybody in this tournament. He missed an entire day. And as he's made his way through the days, if he's playing slower, his table is playing slower. He should be fresh.
You should be fresh. And he re-raises all in. Again, just one card picked up. And Ensan makes the call. His 9s against, we assume, 2 10s.
Could be ace 10, yeah.
Yeah. So there it is, ace 10 of hearts for Maahs at risk. Hossein Ensan with a chance to get his 3rd knockout at this final table and collect 30 million more chips.
Kevin Maahs in his first main event ever, trying to keep the improbable dream alive.
And everyone else rooting for Ensan can't even hide it. $800,000 per player if Maahs goes out.
No ace, no 10. Keep the hearts to a minimum. That's what they're going for. So it is the ace 10 at risk. 1 heart out there. 27-year-old Kevin Maahs from Chicago. Garry Gates may be moving up on the pay scale. Alex Livingston as well, and Dario Sammartino. Can Ensan get us to four-handed? Another jack. So it comes down to this. The river card. Can Ensan hang on? An ace or a 10, it's the 4 of hearts. Ensan does it again. His latest victim, Chicago's Kevin Maahs, out in 5th place.
A fabulous first time for Kevin Maahs, and it ends with $2.2 million in his pocket.
Maahs was the one who scored the last knockout at this final table, taking out Zhen Cai last night. And now Maahs the first to go out here on the second night of this championship table. Ensan now over 300 million chips. What a great run for the 27-year-old. He's not a poker pro. He just likes to play in home games. Kevin Maahs with a payday of $2.2 million. Action continuing here now at the final table. Less than 0.1% of the original field remains as 4 players compete for the championship bracelet. Action folds around to Garry Gates in the small blind. Another pocket pair, this time 6s. German, I assume he'll be considering much of what you said before, no?
I won't be repeating myself if that's what you're asking.
That's kind of what I was asking, yeah.
All in. Raise all in and call.
For Garry.
Wow. Gates all in. Livingston with queens. Garry Gates in the small blind, another blind on blind situation, and they both wake up with the hands, and Livingston with a chance to get us down to our final 3.
Perfectly fine shove by Garry. 15 big blinds, fold 2 in the small blind, 6 is rate to be the best hand. And Livingston just wakes up with it, much how Gary's whole entire night has gone.
Yes, indeed. And now the players not involved in the hand, rooting for a knockout to get that $1 million pay jump. Livingston, the bonus he'll get will be all of Gary's chips. A very safe flop for the queens.
Gary's just praying to turn something. A 4, a 3.
There's a chance down there, so a couple of cards that would help him on the lower end. Livingston not folding the queens this time, and they have come back, and they could pay huge dividends here.
Garry Gates hoping to be the next casual, everyday player, everyday guy to win this thing, a la Chris Moneymaker, but he needs a 6 here on the river or his main event is over.
One card to come. Will it be Gates' last? Yes, it is. Garry Gates ends a remarkable main event run here in 2019 with $3 million and a 4th place finish.
And despite his disappointment, you can see all the joy in his face, all the joy in that body for such a remarkable 2-week run.
What an amazing group of friends all supporting him. That has to feel good. I'm sure they're going to party somewhere tonight.
He had the support of the entire poker world. Probably even many people on the other rails did Garry Gates. And you can see the love right there. This is the moment for Hossein Ensan.
How much to play behind?
For Alex Livingston.
I play fast.
For Dario Sammartino. The moment of a lifetime. The moment to be a world champion. The moment to be remembered forever. The moment is now. The final day of the 2019 World Series of Poker Main Event final table. The 4 Americans have come and gone. So it's 3 international players fighting for $10 million and 1 championship bracelet. The chip leader to start this final table, and chip leader still by a lot. Germany's Hossein Ensan, 55 years old. He's fresh, relaxed, and in total control. He's not wavered one iota. And then there is Alex Livingston, a 32-year-old Canadian pro living in Las Vegas. His side business is pizza. Poker is his passion. Alex second in chips and has found his voice at this main event at the very best moment. On to Dario Sammartino. He's proved himself over and over around the world. The dapper 32-year-old Italian has the most boisterous rail, and they've had reason to cheer. Super Dario has earned at least a $4 million payday.
Here's how Hossein Ensan got here. Pretty easy ride, Norman, day to day, huh?
Increased his chip stack every single day, and you see, day 7, he started number 2 at this final table. He has been chip leader the entire time.
The electric atmosphere continuing tonight at the mothership. Hossein Ensan, the chip leader, on the button with a pocket pair. $2 million to call. I don't care what tournament I'm playing in. I want to be able to limp for $2 million, Norman.
I've actually played in 2 cash games in which I had to limp for $2 million.
Sick brag.
Raise.
All right, a raise from the chip leader to $4 million. Now to Sammartino with the short stack. Ace-Jack suited.
Short stack has 25 bigs.
All in.
There you go. He wants to go for it all here. And Livingston also with ace-jack suited.
They essentially have identical hands, Lon.
Well, no, he's got hearts. Sammartino has spades.
They essentially have identical hands.
Heather making the count, just over $50 million for Livingston to make this call. He's got the chip leader behind him, still alive in the hand, though. This could be it. No, it's not going to be it. I know it's not going to be it.
Ensan very unlikely to call, but hey, if it was $50 million and Livingston had $50 million, this really could be it.
Well, what a moment for Livingston, who we know can make big laydowns. He was really, I'll say, slapped around a little bit a couple nights ago when he folded queens to Garry Gates' raise with 10s. And then last night, ironically, he knocked out Garry Gates holding queens.
For Livingston, you have to assume that Ensan's opening pretty wide. Sammartino knows that and has 25 big blinds. So ace-jack rates to be a pretty good hand here.
What? I can die if you wait other 5 minutes. My heart go boom, 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 boom.
I know you're already sick. I'm gonna, but it's a close one, Dario.
Yeah.
Obviously, of course, I don't fake tank.
Subtle dig at Maahs.
I mean, I shouldn't say anything because Ensan's still there.
Yeah, Ensan is behind him, the chip leader who opened.
How much is it?
He does
50 million.
muck the ace-jack.
Good luck, Dario, I think.
Bad news for Dario. All right. And Ensan makes the call, so Sammartino at risk.
I had this. I shouldn't tell you, but I had ace-jack.
You just told him?
Oh, I hate when people do that. It's like, you're drawing way worse than you think.
So the chip leader with a chance to get us heads up right now. Dario Sammartino on the hook, looking for help with ace-jack, knowing an ace and a jack has been folded.
And by the way, the percentages you're seeing do not reflect that ace and jack are no longer in play.
So the pocket sixes belong to the chip leader. Ace-jack of spades to Dario Sammartino. The next payout is $4 million. None of it is bad news for Dario right now.
It's also nice to be Livingston right now.
Oh, absolutely. He has a chance to get heads up and guarantee himself $6 million. 2 9s and an 8 out there. Only one spade. Dario Sammartino
With a classic run to the final table. Oh, wow. 8, 9, 10, Jack. How you feeling, Mr. Ensan?
A smile from Dario as he gets a slot machine of outs there with an up and down straight draw now. 20 outs to stay alive for Dario Sammartino.
One card to come. Will Dario double up or be our third place finisher? Will Ensan take an even more monster chip lead heads up? And it is a queen! And the straight comes home for Sammartino.
And we're about to hear some really cool songs.
Wow.
And there's one Apple iPhone that has been GG'd. I think he spiked it right on the ground. And an iPad.
Dario Sammartino getting there on the end. Just like last night, Ensan doubling up Dario early on. Ensan had a chance to go heads up with Livingston, but Dario and his rail had other plans. Sammartino now with over 100 million chips. Back with more. This is the 50th edition of the World Series of Poker Main Event.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high roller bowl 7 champion.
Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that bite?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Alex Livingston guaranteed $4 million here. Talk to us about why he's no longer a full-time chess player.
A family friend of mine got me into chess, and I think I was just drawn to the analytical nature of it. I think I've always been a bit of an overanalyzer. With chess, you're constantly looking at different lines, permutations, possibilities. If he does this, then I do this, then he does that. How's it going to develop? I think one of the real main reasons I stopped playing chess so much and started playing poker so much is that the psychology element in poker is way higher. And that's probably, from a competitive game standpoint, psychology I think is like the most interesting part of all of that.
3 quick fun facts about chess. Number 1, every chess match essentially is a sit and go. In fact, every chess match, of course, is heads up. Number 2, you never take a bad beat in chess. You just lose to a better player. And number 3, and my favorite, nobody in chess ever says, that's chess.
Kings for Livingston and Sammartino with 10-6. Got hold of a 6 out there.
The other thing about chess, in poker, you can keep getting better, and with luck involved, you can beat better poker players on any given day. In chess, you hit a ceiling. You hit a point where you actually can never beat the guys who are just a little bit better than you.
Wow. Just speaking of a little bit better, Dario just turned 2-pair against the 2 red kings of Livingston. Dario checking it now.
Yeah, this pot could actually get Dario healthy.
What a turn card.
That's 23.
Livingston, that's 23 million.
It's such a nice board for Sammartino. If he wants to shove all in here, it can look like he has a lot of straight draws, a flush draw, 2 different flush draws, and expect to get called. And his hand, although it's 2-pair, it's very vulnerable on this board.
Dario counting out his stack. We know he's got about 79 million behind that he is working with right now.
Yeah, I think we're just stalling a little bit before we get them all in there.
Could this be the moment for Dario Sammartino? Ooh, he says all in and gets an immediate call. Livingston turns over kings and sees the 2-pair like he expected it.
Expected Alex's call that quickly?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many drawing hands that would get it in here too.
Dario Sammartino with 2 pair. Livingston with 1 pair. Sammartino the one at risk, and he does have some risk out there. You see the outs at the top of your screen. Livingston looking for a king, queen, or 4. And it is a jack, and Dario has doubled up through Livingston. He's going to body surf on his rail.
Oh, this event is so awesome.
Hope that tux is not a rental.
It was the right move at the right time, and Dario Sammartino and his rail love it. What a main event final table. We've seen some of this footage before, but it doesn't get old. The players and this year's bracelet. No fear of a jinx from these 3. Just a couple $100,000 on your wrist. Hey, no big deal. $8 million in live tournament winnings. Nothing paid out to him yet this year, so that is not included. So that's going to go to at least $12 million.
He's climbing that leaderboard.
Yeah, his big scores, but no big win, no big number 1. You know, he's won some tournaments here and there.
I think Bonomo is the all-time money leader right now with just over 45 million. But I mean, if he gets to 18 million tonight, you know, he can make a run at that.
Kings for Sammartino, queen 10 of spades for Ensan.
I really like that too, Sammartino min raise. You don't usually see people get that casual and like funny when they have a hand this big.
Paired board.
Check.
1 spade. Not much for Ensan to work with. Drawn dead, has the action. So we've seen him take the lead. No good. No good. Goodbye.
Goodbye to his queen.
Bye-bye.
Suited.
Say goodbye to your chips.
Sexy hand. Queen 10 suited.
Sammartino back in the lead. I had it. I had it.
Is Rail rallying him?
Yeah, Alex needs some help.
Kind of short now.
Here it comes. Ace Jack.
17 big blinds. Oh.
And a call with Ace Queen from Ensan. Dario, you want to get involved and finish this tournament? No. So Ensan with a chance to knock off Livingston, who has dominated with all his chips in the middle.
This is the cruelty of the main event. You play great for days, and then bang, in the blink of an eye, you're facing your main event mortality. Alex Livingston, 13th here in 2013, somehow makes another deep run, and now is staring at a 3rd place finish in 2019.
Ensan hoping to hold, Livingston hoping for a little luck.
Ace Jack at risk. Ace Queen for Ensan. And here is the flop, and a jack and a queen. Oh, that is just brutal for Livingston to see.
Near the door closing on Alex Livingston's 2019 main event. Ensan relaxed. Livingston not so much.
Livingston's outs are one of the 2 remaining jacks. And now he is down to his last opportunity against Hossein Ensan.
The river card, the 9 of diamonds, ends the 2019 main event for Alex Livingston. Dario heads up with Ensan. And what a run it was by the Canadian. He came almost out of the grave when he was next to last on the chip counts just a few days ago, finishing in third place for $4 million. Alex Livingston, well done.
Alex would have been a great world champion, but he'll be a great third-place finisher, too. He played the game the right way. He made a lot of really good, tough decisions, and he was rewarded with $4 million. Absolutely no shame in that finish. Well done, Alex.
He impressed us all. But now to the business at hand. Heads up between two seasoned pros. At stake, a $4 million difference between first and second, plus the bracelet. Time to get the cash on the table and bring your best game. The main event championship is at stake. From the second largest main event field ever, 8,569. We're down to just these two gentlemen. It'll be Dario Sammartino, Hossein Ensan, and it's pretty darn even, Norman.
Yeah, two guys who just can't imagine being here at certain points of this main event. Dario, of course, as we said, 105th out of 106, 32-year-old trying to become the first Italian to win the main event, and Ensan trying to become the second German to win the main event.
Jamie, you've got 116 bigs for Ensan, 97 for Sammartino. And the way these guys play, you know, it's just going to nickel and dime each other, you know, until we get that monster hand versus monster hand, maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to predict with heads up because it can be that quick. It's just people have to think that their opponents are opening a much wider range. The 3-bets will have a much wider range as a result of that. And sometimes two hands that full ring you'd never expect to get in, heads up, you just have to. It could be queens versus jacks, ace, king versus tens. You just don't know what's going to happen. But if the cards don't cooperate to make that happen, this could be a really long match with their playing styles.
Now, based on what you've seen and you know the history somewhat of both of these guys, certainly Dario a little more famous than Ensan, but do you think it will phase either one of them at this point? I mean, this is such a huge moment for both of their careers and bankrolls.
I don't think it'll be in their heads. It's tough to say that, seeing a massive $500,000 gold bracelet and just bricks of cash and say, oh, no, they'll probably be fine. Just another poker game. But they've both shown that they're not letting the lights and the, you know, everything surrounding how big this event is bother them.
They seem to be enjoying the moment somewhat, as Kara mentioned on the break desk, with each other, with their rails. And this is where the rails can take a lot of that tension away from you.
And both players starting the heads-up match with very above average hands.
Ensan flop the jack.
Check.
This could cost Dario. Jack's up now for Ensan. Remember that feature table many, many days ago when we had Antonio Esfandiari. He had Dario at that table, and Dario just was struggling all day. And that may have lit a little fire under him when he got Antonio's chips.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dario was at a feature table for at least a whole day before getting deep, too. He has been under the lights this whole entire time, and he wasn't feeling well for most of it. It's a lot of stress to put on your body. And then if this match lasts long, I mean, heads up is the most exhausting form of poker.
And he was in that center of that little storm they had when we were 11-handed. And so we've seen a lot of Dario in this main event. Ensan with a big raise with the 2-pair.
Dario wondering if Ensan could just be trying to set the tone for this heads-up match, that he's going to be the aggressor and that Dario's not going to get away with anything. But we see that Ensan just has top 2.
Dario peeking over the shades at his counterpart. And he makes this call. Sammartino in big trouble until now.
What a first hand of heads up. This is crazy. Second hand. The first one was so not crazy.
The first one was great too. I mean,
it.
you know. But here, 2 pair versus 2 pair as Dario rivers aces up.
Check.
Look at that cash. My goodness. And the bracelet stands out there too. What a moment here. And now Dario wondering what he can get from Ensan, and it's probably more than he thinks.
Yeah, it seemed like he called the turn thinking that his hand was good and that Ensan didn't have that huge of a holding. But then when you river so well, you go, okay, I hope I was wrong.
55 million. Call.
Ace 9.
And the call.
Ace 9.
Ace 9 is
Mamma
good.
mia, mamma.
Oh my goodness, what a pot, what a swing! Almost 185 million in the middle. Ensan hit jacks up. Dario rivered him for that monster win. To get this far, just about everything needs to go right. And when the big money is on the line, to see a river like that, it can be devastating.
All you can do is shake your head and move on. I've done it. I know Hossein can do it too.
What a match so far. Sammartino and Ensan showing the world what world-class poker looks like. The main event comes once per year, but you can relive the action all year long. Watch WSOP Main Event Archive episodes featuring the biggest moments from the most prestigious event of the year, anytime, anywhere, exclusively on PokerGO.
60K starting stack on our Summer of Jeep tournament format. And 1,286, as I mentioned, made the money. 15,000 was the minimum payout. The maximum payout, $10 million tonight.
So besides the fact I couldn't play as well as the other players, who were guys like Sean D playing the big mix game, you know, scared money never wins. So I was a little scared. And then when you're in a rush, it's like tick-tock, tick-tock. We'll take his money because he's just not going to make good decisions if you know he's only playing for 40 or 45 more minutes. So with those two things and our boss standing behind me saying, all right, turn this into more money, I pretty much lost whatever he gave me.
It's a lot of excuses coming from this side of the booth, isn't it?
I was there and I was scared. I was just watching. 3 aces for Hossein. Dario with king high. Thinking it might be good if
Yeah, he's willing to call one. I don't know how deep he'll get in this hand if Ensan keeps firing his trip aces.
That's 12.5.
It's tough to keep hanging on. Are you planning to call flop, turn, and river and just hope your king high is good?
No, he'll try one more time, drawing dead. Sammartino misses. $49 million in the middle so far. too much. Just right.
That's 38.
38.
We've seen him make quite a few correct hero calls over the past few days. He's a player that definitely trusts his reads. This one would be really punishing, though. He thinks he has a read on Ensan here, and sticks in 38 million more with just king high. I mean,
yeah, he does manage a fold, and he looks suspiciously at Ensan there, the end of the hand.
yeah, that was just a bit optimistic on Dario's part. I understand flatting the flop, but when your opponent puts that second barrel in, you probably want to let it go.
Hossein Ensan's dollar-shaped club bio board, the 55-year-old now living in Munster, Germany. Became a poker pro in 2010. He's done a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, he says that I try not to make a mistake at the table. He said a small mistake is no problem. Big mistakes, yes. And we haven't seen him make big mistakes.
We've seen him get caught on bluffs. That's not a mistake. And just as mentioned, you know, he minded his P's and Q's, whatever that means.
A, B, C.
No,
thank
no.
you. No, thank you.
Do we each get a veto once a day? Or we can just say veto and it stops
Oh,
whatever
you want to veto?
Mark
Wait, that would be
do.
good. I guess we could institute
I would use
that.
it every single day on the day 1A is
You
my
can't do it
favorite
in
day.
the
you know,
waning hours of the main event, though. You'd have to institute it earlier.
next year, if by some chance they're crazy enough to let us do this again,
that'd be great.
I would use
The
it every
day
single
1A
time for
thing?
the whole spiel. Yeah.
Really? You
Yeah.
want to take that joy away from me?
Every single time, yep.
Well, how many vetoes? What, one a day, you say?
Yeah.
Well, you could just do something dumb and get the veto out of the way and then run the rest of the day.
I mean, just open my mouth?
Exactly. 3 overcards to both players, and both players now pair their 6.
The rail has yelled, "I'm getting hungry. Let's go. Get this over with."
It's not that late.
Fun card for Ensan.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering why he bet the turn, but I mean, if you can get some value, and then make the best hand.
Picked up 2 pair on the river.
That's 18.
Now, they've run out of chance.
Wow.
Do pair.
He's not going to be happy with how that 2 pair occurred, but
Yeah, that one stung a little bit. Ah, there you go.
Poker sure has a way of evening out. Just a few minutes ago, Ensan bemoaning his river luck. Now, the reverse. A timely 2 pair for Ensan, giving him a 100 million chip lead. Heads up.
'13 main event champ in the house.
Grazie.
Ryan Reese won $8.3 million. Taking down that final table.
One
His
more.
banner hanging
Not
inside.
for now.
Ryan Reese famously wore a Calvin Johnson Detroit Lions jersey at his final table. Johnson has since retired. Reese has continued his poker success, solidifying himself as a top player.
Ensan continues.
and Sammartino with just enough of it, enough good turns where he can possibly continue past, even if he doesn't make 2 pair or something.
Queen's up now for Ensan.
is 13.5 million.
There are a lot of draws out there. I understand him considering calling with a 5 here. It's going to be tough, though, to also call a river bet unimproved. I think if none of the draws come in, that Ensan, if he sizes it small enough, a 5 might look it up.
Check.
Check to Ensan here. Queen's up.
It is 35 million.
35 million. Even with the beard, the tux, and the glasses, Dario looked just a little sick to hear that.
It's pretty expensive if he wants to try to pick off a bluff here. And I haven't seen Ensan go for 3 very often, just empty.
And when's the last time we saw Ensan not have it on the river when he makes whatever, whether it's a small blocker bet or he makes this type of bet? He's always had something.
Dario struggling with this right now. With a pair of 5s. Ensan crushing that board.
And he's in a more delicate position now. He begins his hand, Dario, a 3-2 chip disadvantage. To call this would be 20% of his remaining stack.
Oh, and he makes that big call, and he's going to be heartbroken to see Queens up for Ensan, and that one hurt.
Is this Ensan's high point, 379 million? I think it is.
Yes, it is. Nearly a 3-1 chip advantage.
We are going to step aside for a couple of minutes. Hossein Ensan takes the biggest lead he's had yet.
Call. Check.
8-7 against 7-5.
Check. Check. Bet 4 million.
$4 million from Dario. Industrious.
And with the gutter ball, backdoor hearts, Ensan finds 4 million to call with. Little something for both players.
Check.
Usually when you're bluffing, you pick up even the tiniest shred of equity. It's enough to barrel again. Unfortunately for Dario, open-ender's looking pretty good for Ensan.
Call.
Another jack.
is a good card for Dario to continue telling his story. He would bet a jack here, obviously. He would also bet a 9 again with the jack pairing, so he can incredibly throw out a bet here. Oh no!
He checks back, gives up, 8 high wins.
Obviously,
That was just
it's easier. It's easier for us in here to say what he should do. It's just, man, it's just tough to bluff twice and then get to the river 7 high and give up. He's not pleased.
When you bet, I raise. When you bet, I raise. Believe me.
Okay, that's pretty classy of him to say it, whether it's true or not.
I believe him.
Check raise.
Dario is befuddled. Why can I not beat this guy? Just not your night so far. Hossein Ensan has proven to be very difficult to get chips from. Ensan now
11 million.
345 million chips. Ensan with kings.
Paying homage to our fallen colleague, Antonio Esfandiari. He tells me that with pocket kings, at least one ace will come on the flop 23% of the time. Thank you, Antonio. This is the 77% of the time that it did not come.
You are correct. 2 spades for Dario out there with his 8-4 spades in the hole.
He's one lucky turn card away from getting a bunch of those chips back. There's a lot of good cards for him on the turn besides just a spade. Ones that let him continue any straight card.
He does put the chips in the middle. 9 of clubs.
Not bad. Pot could definitely get big.
How much you play, Dario? 140. 140.
9 giving Dario a gut shot. King's still good for Ensan here.
Bet 33 million.
33 million to Dario on the draw.
Got a good hand to semi-bluff with. It's just, it's so risky and it would take pretty much all his chips. I would assume he would jam here if he elected to raise at all.
Jamming with 27% equity.
If he saw the cards, he would not want
He said all in.
Yeah.
He did jam, and he gets a snap call.
Oh, wow.
This could be it right here.
Totally reasonable play, but running into kings. What do you think?
Dario Sammartino needing help. He's got 12 outs, but Hossein Ensan one clean card away from a championship suddenly. Into the arms of his rail. Sammartino, the bluff, semi-bluff shove. It could be the first time the main event has been won with pocket kings.
Dario left to just shake his head and hope he gets lucky to extend this.
And he would take the king of spades here.
along with any other spade or a 7. Other than that, it is over. And the river card, the queen of clubs, will end the night. Sammartino comes up empty on that board. Hossein Ensan put a harness on the main event final table from the start. He faltered for a bit and then rode it all the way to the finish line to become the 2019 world champion.
Dan Harrington told us we'd never have another champion over the age of 50. He was wrong on this one. 55-year-old Ensan is #1.
Sammartino into the arms of his rail with a $6 million payday.
Really well played, really tricky player in a heads-up match.
The final card came down. It was a blank for Sammartino. The pocket kings held up for the first time in main event history. And Dario sees the bad news. What a run Dario had. An even better one by the new world champion. Dario deserves every accolade that he is getting and will get for the main event that he played and where he came from in this main event.
Yeah, at one point, Dario, 105th out of 106 players remaining, played tremendously, as did, of course, our champion.
Corona Premier final table, final results. There you see it. Hossein Ensan, $10 million richer. Let's get it down now to Kara Scott on the floor with the players.
Before Hossein Ensan gets his one-of-a-kind bracelet, a huge congratulations to this year's runner-up, Dario Sammartino. Dario, you play with your heart on your sleeve, and it was a hard-fought heads-up. Were you able to play the game that you wanted to today?
Yeah, I like my game today. I don't think I play my best game heads up, but my opponent is a really good player. Also, he's a really good friend of mine, so I'm really happy for him. Now I'm not exciting for me, but tomorrow, of course, I'm super exciting. It's fine.
It is time now for the bracelet presentation. To award Jostens' one-of-a-kind bracelet, please welcome Amanda Walker, Marketing Manager for Jostens. Amanda?
On behalf of Jostens, I'd like to present you the World Series of Poker Championship bracelet. Congratulations. Congratulations. Hossein.
Honestly, incredible.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy, and I thanks my fans at home in Germany, also in Iran, and my friends, my buddies here. What can I say?
Please lift the bracelet up so that everyone can see it. Congratulations.
There is one happy man who played a magnificent main event. That is a tough list. Hossein moves into the top 10 on the all-German money list. He is going to enjoy this one for a very long time. Dario, as he said, will as well. What a main event he played. Thank you very much for watching this year's edition of the World Series of Poker Main Event. What a year it has been. So many memorable moments, so many coming just tonight. For Norman Chad, Jamie Kerstetter, Kara Scott, and our entire Las Vegas crew, I'm Lon McCarron. We will see you again next year. Congratulations, Hossein Ensan.